In the heart of a verdant valley, nestled between misty mountains, lay the kingdom of Lunaria. It was a realm of wonder and peace. The silver spires of the royal castle pierced the sky like needles of starlight. Flowers bloomed in every corner, their petals kissed by the gentle breeze. The people lived in harmony, their laughter echoing through the cobblestone streets. King Aldrich and Queen Alara ruled with wisdom and compassion. Their love for each other was matched only by their love for their subjects. The king's deep rumbling voice brought comfort to all who heard it. The queen's emerald eyes sparkled with kindness, her smile a balm for troubled souls. Together, they maintained a delicate balance of justice and mercy. Every evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the royal couple would walk among their people. They listened to concerns, offered advice, and shared in both joys and sorrows. The kingdom flourished under their gentle guidance. Crops grew in abundance, and the arts thrived. It seemed as though nothing could shatter the peace of Lunaria. But in the shadows, beyond the reach of the castle's warm glow, something sinister was stirring. A darkness that had long lain dormant was awakening. It hungered for chaos and destruction. And as the good people of Lunaria slept soundly in their beds, this malevolence began to creep ever closer to the heart of the kingdom. Lord Vex was a man consumed by bitterness. His soul was as twisted as the gnarled staff he carried. Once a trusted advisor to the king, he had been banished for attempting to usurp the throne. Now he dwelled in the Whispering Woods, plotting his revenge. His eyes, once warm brown, now gleamed with an unnatural red light. In the dead of night, Vex would send his shadowy minions into the kingdom. They poisoned wells and blighted crops. They whispered lies into the ears of sleeping villagers, sowing seeds of discord. The peace of Lunaria began to fray at the edges. Arguments broke out where once there had been only friendly chatter. Suspicion replaced trust. King Aldrich and Queen Alara were at a loss. They could feel their beloved kingdom slipping through their fingers like sand. They doubled the guard, increased patrols, but the source of the trouble remained elusive. Lord Vex was too clever, too patient in his machinations. He reveled in the growing chaos, feeding off the fear and anger that began to permeate the once tranquil realm. As the situation worsened, the royal couple made a fateful decision. They would send their only son, Prince Lysander, on a quest to discover the source of the kingdom's woes. The young prince, barely 18, was eager to prove himself, but his parents' hearts were heavy with worry. They knew the dangers that lurked beyond the castle walls. Little did they know that their son's journey would set in motion a chain of events that would shake Lunaria to its very foundations. Prince Lysander set out at dawn, his silver armor gleaming in the early morning light. His heart swelled with pride and determination. He had been raised on tales of heroic deeds and noble quests. Now it was his turn to write his own legend. The weight of his sword at his hip felt reassuring. He was certain he would return victorious, having saved his kingdom from whatever threat plagued it. But Lysander was young and impulsive. He ignored his parents' warnings to stick to the main roads. Instead, he plunged deep into the Whispering Woods, convinced that the source of evil must be hiding in its darkest depths. The trees seemed to close in around him, their branches reaching out like grasping fingers. Strange whispers echoed in his ears, but he pressed on, undaunted. As night fell, Lysander found himself hopelessly lost. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. They spoke of power, of glory, of a throne that could be his if only he were brave enough to seize it. The prince's resolve began to waver. He had always been told he would inherit the kingdom one day. But why wait? Why not take what was rightfully his now? In a clearing bathed in eerie moonlight, Lysander encountered Lord Vex. The exiled nobleman's honeyed words played upon the prince's doubts and ambitions. With a mixture of flattery and dark magic, Vex convinced Lysander to betray his parents. The prince agreed to lead Vex's shadow army into the heart of Lunaria. As they shook hands to seal their unholy pact, Lysander felt a chill run down his spine. But it was too late. The die was cast, and the fate of the kingdom now hung in the balance. Section 4. The Path of Vengeance. The attack came swiftly and without mercy. Lord Vex's shadow army, led by the misguided Prince Lysander, swept through Lunaria like a plague. The castle's defenses, weakened by years of peace, crumbled before the onslaught. King Aldrich and Queen Alara were taken prisoner, their crowns torn from their heads. The once beautiful kingdom was plunged into darkness and despair. Lysander, drunk on his newfound power, sat upon the throne he had coveted. But his triumph was short-lived. Lord Vex, true to his treacherous nature, betrayed the young prince. With a cruel laugh, he imprisoned Lysander alongside his parents. The usurper's joy turned to ashes in his mouth as he realized the full weight of his foolish actions. In the dungeons beneath the castle, Lysander wept bitter tears of regret. His father's disappointment and his mother's sorrow cut deeper than any blade. The prince vowed to make amends, to undo the damage he had wrought. But escape seemed impossible. The cells were guarded by Vex's most loyal shadow warriors, their red eyes gleaming in the darkness. Days turned into weeks, and hope began to fade. But Lysander refused to give up. He observed the guards, noting their patterns and weaknesses. He listened to the whispers that still echoed through the stones, learning their secrets. And slowly, a plan began to form in his mind. It was dangerous, perhaps even suicidal, but it was the only chance he had to save his kingdom and redeem himself in the eyes of his parents and his people. Section 5, Confrontation in the Dark. Under the cover of a moonless night, Lysander made his move. He had patiently worked loose a stone in his cell wall, creating a small opening. With a whispered prayer to whatever gods might be listening, he squeezed through the gap. His heart pounded so loudly he feared it would give him away, but the shadows seemed to bend around him, concealing his presence from the guards. The prince crept through the castle he had once called home. Everything was changed, twisted by Vex's dark magic. Grotesque sculptures leered from every corner. The air was thick with the stench of decay. Lysander's resolve wavered, but the memory of his parents' faces steeled his nerves. He would not fail them again. In the throne room, Lysander found Lord Vex. The usurper sat upon a throne of bones, his red eyes glowing with malevolent satisfaction. For a moment, Lysander was tempted to rush forward and attack, but he remembered his father's lessons about patience and strategy. Instead, he melted into the shadows, watching and waiting for the right moment to strike. As dawn approached, Vex's power began to wane. The shadows that had protected him throughout the night started to recede. Lysander saw his opportunity and seized it. With a cry that echoed through the castle, he lunged at the surprised Vex. Their battle was fierce but brief. In the end, it was not strength or skill that decided the outcome, but the weight of truth and justice. As the first rays of sunlight pierced the gloom, Lord Vex crumbled to dust, his dark magic finally spent. Section 6, Lessons Written in Starlight. With trembling hands, Lysander unlocked the dungeon doors. His parents emerged, blinking in the light of a new day. There were no recriminations, no angry words, only relief and love shone in their eyes. The prince fell to his knees, overcome with emotion. He begged for forgiveness, promising to spend the rest of his life making amends for his terrible mistake. King Aldrich helped his son to his feet. In a voice thick with emotion, he spoke of the power of redemption. Queen Alara embraced Lysander, her tears washing away the last vestiges of darkness that clung to him. Together, the royal family stepped out into the sunlight. The Shadow Army had vanished with Vex's defeat. Lunaria was free once more. In the days that followed, Lysander worked tirelessly to restore his kingdom. He listened to the concerns of his people, just as his parents had done. He learned the value of humility and the importance of seeking wisdom before acting. The prince came to understand that true power lay not in force or magic, but in the bonds of love and trust that united a community. As the last traces of Lord Vex's influence faded from Lunaria, a new peace settled over the land. It was a peace born of hard-won knowledge and shared struggle. Lysander knew that he would one day be king, but now he approached that future with reverence and respect rather than impatient ambition. Under the light of the stars, he made a silent vow to always remember the lessons written in the darkest chapter of his life. For in that darkness, he had found the true path to becoming a worthy ruler and a better man.